All right, hello everybody. It's about 7 o'clock now, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on this stream. Right now I don't have anything up, but let me go ahead and add in our... So I just wanted to do one thing real quick here, and that was go over how to log in here. So in case anyone decides to log in and watch this, we will be able to, you'll be able to see what the process is for logging in, because I've had a couple of students email and kind of confused on how they actually get to the Code High School website here. So I'm just gonna see if I can throw a window up here, new incognito window. So the most important thing is that you need to make sure that you're logging in with your school email account. So I'm just gonna model that here by doing that myself. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so now I am here, and I want to move myself, the order, move to the top. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to go to the codehighschool.com website. So when I go here, it's going to ask me to either sign up or it's going to ask me to log in. So when I go to log in, it should say log in with Google. So I want to click login with Google, and then I will just type in my username and password for your school account. So you shouldn't have to sign up. You should just be able to log in. So again, the important thing there is that we are able to log in by using our school email accounts. So I'm just going to log out, and I'm going to model that one more time. So when you are at the initial page here, right, it says sign up, but you don't want to sign up. What you want to do is you want to go up here and you want to press log in. So if you've been having trouble getting into this, don't press the sign up button here. You just want to go straight to the login page. And actually, I will take this link and I am going to post that to the classroom to make sure that we're using the right link to log in, because I know that a lot of you are probably pressing the sign up button, and when you press the sign up button, it takes you to something like this, right? You guys don't need to create your student ID because it's already been created. So you guys just need to press the login button, log in with Google, and then you'll be a-okay. So let me go ahead and go back to Google Classroom, and I will post that right now. Okay, and now I have everything linked. Oh, but I have to make sure that that's for more than just second period, so give me just one more second to post that. I'm sorry that I'm a little late getting started here. But there's only one current user. I don't know who it is. If you want to say hello in the chat, and I will respond. It might even just be me. It might count me viewing my own live stream as a viewer. which would be really sad. Okay, so I want to go to computer science. Let's go to this computer science, and I just want to post a reuse a previous post. That's 7. Where's 3? 3, 8. Okay. All right, that looks good. And we'll post that. Okay, so now that we're logged in, I'm just going to go ahead. I guess I'll just log in here again, and that'll be fine. So I'll log in with Google. Okay, and I'm logged in. Okay, and we're going to just keep on keeping on. Okay, so I'm going to go to my courses, go here. And we're working on the web design stuff. Oh, and I need to switch over to my student view. Oop, and I'm a little bit behind, right? So I forgot to do lists last week. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip lists for now, and then I will come back to them at the end of today. But I'm supposed to get from 4.7 through 4.9 in the next hour, so we're going to try and do that. So we're going to start with tables, and we're going to go from there. I don't know that you guys are getting this audio output capture. I want to go to my headphones and okay, and let's try this.
And we see tables all the time on the internet. We see them on websites like ESPN to display sports rankings. We see them on websites like Wikipedia. Here we have a table of all the national birds in the world. So tables can be a really useful tool for us to display information on our web pages. Now before we start building tables on our web pages, we need to go over some table terminology. So here we have a table from Billboard.com that shows some of the top summer songs of all time. Now this entire thing is the table. This is what's referred to as the table, the entire grid of information. Within the table, we have several table rows. So every single one of these is a table row. Now within the table rows, within the first table row, we have table headers. And the table headers describe what information is in each column. So here we have rank in the first column, the title of the song, the artist of the song, and in the last column we have which year that this song hit its peak in the Billboard rankings. So these are all table headers. And then below the table headers, we have the actual table data. So table data refers to the information inside each of these cells. So each row in the table has several pieces of table data that describe the actual information in the table. So to build these tables in HTML, we're going to need a tag for each one of these terms. So first we'll have the table tag, and the table tag is the container for all of the table data. Now inside the table tag, we will have a TR tag, which stands for table row. So a table will have a TR tag for each row in the table. Now inside the first table row, we'll have a TH tag for table header. So each one of these is a single TH tag, a single table header element. And below the table headers, we will have the actual table data. So table data will refer to the actual information inside each cell of the table. So these are the tags we're going to use to build our tables in HTML. Let's look at an example of this. So first off, we'll need the table opening tag and the table closing tag. And the table tag will contain all the information for the table. So inside here, let's put in a TR tag for our first row, and we'll put in another TR tag for our second row. The first one will hold all the information for the first row, second one will hold all the information for the second row. Now in the first row, we usually put TH tags. The first row usually contains headers, and for headers we use the TH tag. So this isn't actual table data, this is labeling the data. This is saying the first column will have the name and the second column will have the points. In the second row and every future row will have the actual data, and for the data we'll use TD tags. So in this row, the name is Carol, and Carol has scored 32 points. Those are each pieces of data in the table. The result of this looks like that. We see in the first row we have name and points, and those are headers. And in the next rows we have the actual table data. Carol has scored 32 points. Now this looks nice, but a lot of times we want an actual border around the table. So to add a border, all we have to do is add a border attribute to the table tag. The border attribute specifies how thick the table border should be in pixels. And the default is 0. So if we want a border, we need to set it to 1. We can actually increase it to 5 to get a big thick border around the edge of the table. We can set it back to 0 to get rid of the border, but usually we'll be going with a border of 1. Let's see this in the editor. So in this program, we're going to create a simple web page that creates an address book to store our friends' information, things like name, phone number, and email address. So first thing we need to do is head over to the table section, and this is where we have all of our table tags. So the first thing we need is our table tag. This will hold all the information for our table. And now inside that table, I want several rows, and each row will have its own data. So to add a table row, I use the TR tag. I can drag that out. What's nice is you can actually use this plus sign to automatically add more table rows. So let's add another one, add another one. You can use minus to get rid of a row. Let's start off with 3 rows. Now the first row should hold the table headers. It should say what each column represents. For table headers, we use the TH tag for table header. So let's pull out a table header. Let's say the first column of my address book will hold my friend's name. The next column will hold their phone number. And then the next column will hold their email address. Let's see what that looks like. Awesome, so we got our headers. Now it's time to add the table data. So for table data, we'll use TD. So in this first row, let's put all of the data for our first friend. So let's say the friend's name is Carol. Carol's phone number is 123.
As usual, here he's doing it as in the block text, and I really am not a fan of using the block text. I don't think that it's very good for what we're trying to develop here, which is a good understanding of the tags. But let's go and watch the rest of this.
4, 5, 6, 7. And then let's drag out another table data for the email address, carol@codehs.com. Boom, we got our first row of data in our table. Let's add another friend. Table data for Jenny. Jenny's phone number is 8675309. Put a little comma there, a little hyphen, and see what that looks like. Nice. One more for Jenny's email address. We'll do jenny@yahoo.com. Awesome. We're building up our address book. Now one thing is I would like some structure here. I'd like to see, a border around each cell. So to do that, we just add the border attribute to the table.
And again, he's switching between blocks and the tags so that he can put an attribute in here because the blocks don't account for attributes. So again, another reason why I'm not a big fan of this.
So I'm going to go into code view, add the border attribute and set it to 1. And there we go. And now I have a nice address book that stores the contact information for my friends. And that is how we can add tables to our web pages. Now it's your turn.
Okay, so we are adding in these tables. So was I supposed to do that? Okay, so take a quiz. Tags define the table row. Remember, table defines the whole row, or sorry, the whole table itself. So TR is going to be my table row. Which of the following tags defines a table header? Well, TH table header. Oh, okay. So we have, it looks like a box surrounding our table. right? There's some kind of a border here. We know that we have name and we have score. So those are both headers, right? And so then we have table row. Okay. Carol 32. Okay, so we know that it's not going to be this one because this TR defines the entire row, right? And I'm not really sure what the TD would be there. But we also know that we don't need to define this table row as a table header, right? At least I don't believe that we needed to. That seems more complex than what I was reading. It's not going to be this one because we don't actually have the table score. Okay. Honestly, guys, this one is hard for me. I don't really know. Okay, so we know that we have a border. They all have a border. Can we eliminate this first one? Well, I have the table header tags. I have the table D tags. Okay, so that's the first row. Okay. How are these two different? Well, this one has a header and this one does not. So let's go ahead and eliminate option 2. Option 2 will not be there. Option 3 doesn't even tell us that it's going to be a table header or not. Option 4 is missing the table row start tag somewhere. So that means that this one is going to be the one that is most likely to work. Honestly, I'm still not fully familiar with this, so I guess that each of these are going to be an item. And we were correct. So we have to make sure that we have the table header tag, and then we have the table piece of information tag in the row. Okay. And this is his address book that he made, right? So if we run the code, we see that we get this nice little table over here, and we can come over here and open it up in a new web page, and we can see the same thing. I'm just going to expand our window here because I don't have anybody in the chat right now, so I don't need to have a chat window. So it'll be a little bit easier to see everything that's going on. Okay, so then let's go a little bit further with this. Let's continue on. Okay, so here's our next exercise. Start a code with 2 rows. The first row contains the headers, the second row contains the songs, okay? And add your own favorite songs to the table. Include all of the information for each song. Okay, let's go. Okay, so we know that we want to just add additional rows, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take this. This is going to be my table row that I want to create. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm just going to change the rest of this information here. I'm going to meet you in the middle. This is a country song by one Parker McCollum. It is country. And then I had good memories with this. Okay, and then I am just going to go ahead and put some popular songs up in here, up in here, up in here. Okay. Okay, so, ooh, this is a good one. Blinded by the Light. Blinded by the light. This is actually not necessarily, it's kind of a waste of time. Okay, so Bruce Springsteen. Ooh, that'll go here. This is Blinded by the Light. This is Southern Rock. And it has a fun beat. All right. Then we can have a Michael Jackson song. We'll have Beat It. By Michael Jackson. This is Pop Song. And I just love this song. Okay, let's see if it's gonna let me get away with this. All right, cool, perfect. So let's go ahead and run the code. And you can see that we have this wonderful table, right? There are 5 different things, and then you've got the song title here. And I was pretty repetitious over here, but really the point is that we got the coding done. Okay, and now we're gonna make a calendar. And we're gonna make it for this month, so for the month of April. Okay, and then let's go ahead and look at the assignment. We know that this header is going to have a heading tag. Let's go look over at the, okay, and let's go, okay, so header. So H1 to H6, so I'm gonna go ahead and use an H1 header. And I am going to use the bold tag on this, and I'm going to say that this is November 2016. Just go ahead and come over here. Sorry, it is April of 2020, and then we're gonna do the bold tag here. All right, let's see how that looks. Run the code, April 2020. Okay, that looks nice, very nice. Okay, and then in the body, I want to have this table, right? So I'm gonna have a table. So I can come over here and I can go to my tables documentation, and I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm just gonna copy this into here for now. Okay, the table headers need it to be Sunday, Monday, and it looks like these are bold tags too, so let's just go ahead and do this. And I'm gonna delete that. So we can just copy this 7 times. So guys, from how, it's not that these assignments are very hard, it's just that they're tedious. They're gonna take you a little while to do them. So just be aware that we may fall behind on our schedule here, and that's okay. You just wanna be working on this as much as possible. Honestly, this is not your priority of a class. You should be working on your other classes first, and this should just be something that, you know, is something to chew on, something that you can spend time, that you can enjoy learning a new skill. It's going to be a Thursday. This is going to be a Friday. And end the week on a Saturday. That sounds good. Okay, and then let's see. Let's run the code again. See, okay, this is looking pretty cool, huh? Already we're looking pretty good. Okay. Okay, and then I know that I want to have 7 per row. So I'm just going to go ahead and eliminate that. I know that I want to have 7 rows with days in them. And it looks like, again, okay, these are not bolded. So we're just going to go ahead and leave the tags like so. And each row is going to have 7 days in it. Now, they're not all going to be filled, so that does help us out a little bit. But I am just going to go ahead and take these tags, right? I'm going to just copy and paste them. That's 5, 6, and 7. I do highly recommend that you guys do some kind of a structuring like this when you are when you're working on this. And I'm just going to pull up an April calendar. So I'm looking at the calendar for April 2020 on my other screen right now, and that's how I'm going to fill in these days. So I know that in the first row I have 3 blank days, and then I have, and actually I'm just going to copy this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different rows. So if I look at a calendar here, right, I can see that I have 5 rows for this April calendar, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to use 5 rows. The first 3 days are not filled, and the last 2 days are not filled. So we're just going to go from there. So I need to have 5 different rows. So I know that that defines a row. So I'll copy another one. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, so the first 3 days are not filled. 1, 2, 3. Then I get a 1, 2, 3, 4. Next row, 5, 6, 7, and so on and forth. 10, 11, 12, and then 26, 27, 28, 29, and there are 30 days in April this year, so there we go. All right, let's see how this looks. Run the code. Ooh, buddy, that's looking pretty good right there. Now, it looks like these may be bold. If it's bold, I'm going to be a little upset. Okay, it didn't have to be bold. That's good, because I was going to be very sad if I had to go through and add a bold tag to each one of those lines. Okay, so awesome. We're done with tables. So now we can move on and we can do this last part, which is the styling. So at this point, we will get our styling badge, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to do the introduction to CSS, and then we're going to be pretty good to go, guys. All right, let's watch our video.
Hi. In this video, we'll be learning about HTML styling. So far our web pages are looking pretty good. We've got headers, formatted text, links, images, lists, tables. We've got some cool stuff going on our web pages. But you know what? We can get even more stylish. And the way we're going to do that is by introducing the style attribute. So the style attribute is an attribute that we can add to any HTML tag that lets us add several different types of styles to the tag. So how do we use this? Well, on any tag, no matter what the tag name is, all we have to do is insert into the opening tag the style attribute. And so the way this works is that the style attribute defines several different style properties about the tag. So for example, we can have a p tag whose style has the color blue, or a table data that has a background color of red, or an h1 that has a font size of 60. So we see that we define the property that we're styling, colon, then the value, and then a semicolon. And what's cool is we can have multiple styles on one tag. All we have to do is separate out these property value pairs with semicolons. So as long as it's all in double quotes, we can have style equals and then a massive string defining several different properties and several different values. So for example, here we have just a standard p tag that says hello, but if we add the style attribute and then inside the quotes give it the color blue, color colon blue semicolon, now the text is blue. We don't have to stop there. We can add a background color of yellow, and now we have this nice highlight. And we can add a font size of 60 pixels, and now the text is really big. So using this strategy, we can add several styles to a single tag. So what are some of the stylistic properties that we can manipulate? Well, the first is color. The color property defines the text color for the tag. So if we have a color of red, then all the text inside of that tag, even within subtags, even within nested tags, all of that text will have the color red. We can also do blue, we can do yellow, and we have several colors we can choose from. We can also do background color, and that will set the background color for the entirety of that tag. We can do same thing, red, blue, yellow, several other colors. We can play around with the font, so we can set the font size to be any number of pixels we like. Here we have an example of 12 pixels, 30 pixels, and 60 pixels. We can set the text alignment with the text align property. So if we have a text align of left, then we have a left alignment. We can also do center, and we can do right, and that will align the text within the tag. Now you may be wondering, what colors do I have to choose from? Is it just red, blue, and yellow? It turns out there's actually 140 colors that have names in HTML. So we have all your standard colors. We got red, blue, and green. We have some kind of weird colors like cyan, and then we have some really strange names like blanched almond. If you want to see a full list of the 140 colors we can play around with, you can go to w3schools.com, go to this URL, and get a full list of all the HTML color names. So let's play around with the style attribute in the editor. So here we have our code from earlier that makes an address book. Now this looks pretty nice, but we're going to use the style attribute to make this page look gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is go into code view, because it's a lot easier to add attributes in the code view. And first thing I want to do is I want to make the entire background blue. So to do that, I'm going to set the body tag to have the style attribute of background color colon blue semicolon. Let's see what that does. Sweet. And notice this set the background color for the entire body. If I were to take this out and put it inside just the table, now we have only the table having background color of blue. But we want the entire page to have a background of blue, so let's put it at the body level. Now this is getting a little hard to see, so let's increase the font size of the table. So we have the table already has a border attribute of 1. We can just go ahead, add a space, and set the style attribute. So here, the style attribute should say that the font size, font dash size, let's set it to 20 pixels, semicolon. Great, it's getting a lot better. So we actually want the header row to have a font size much bigger than the actual table data. So what we can do, rather than going in and manually setting it for each table header, let's just set it at the table row level, and it will apply to all of this tag. It will apply to all the text inside this row. So here, now it might be very tempting to say something like font size equals 30 pixels or something like that. The problem is that won't work. Font size is not a valid attribute. Style is the attribute, and inside the style attribute, that is where we define all of these stylistic things. So inside, that's where we have to say font size colon 30 pixels. Great. You know what? Let's also put a semicolon. Let's add another one. Color of yellow. Awesome. And now let's alternate our rows between blue and white. So let's say this row has the background color of white. Nice. And let's do the same thing for the last row. Nope. Keep that there, paste that there. Solid. So that is how we can use the style attribute to add style to our web pages. Now it's your turn to give it a try.
So my personal opinion is that that ended up looking like. Hello, hello, hello. But that is, I guess, neither here nor there. Let me try something real quick. I don't like that. I don't like that. 1 second, guys. Audio input capture. Why don't you save? Hello, hello. Okay, that was weird. Oh man. Okay, well, I guess that we're kind of stuck with this being our microphone for now. Sorry, you're going to start hearing keyboard sounds again. I just am having the darndest time with my headphones because I'm using my headphones to do the input capture here for the audio. And I don't want it to use the default. I want it to use, maybe if I use my webcam microphone. Who knows. Okay, well, let's just go there and we'll try again next time. Okay, so we're going to continue. Okay, and we have one question here. Maybe. Okay, cool. Which of the following HTML code snippets is the proper way to set the background color of a H1 tag to blue? We want to set background color to blue as an attribute. Oops. We have to use the style tag. My bad. Reset quiz. Ha! Let's cheat, guys. Okay. I don't know if you guys can reset the quiz. Maybe you guys should be more careful than I was. Okay, this is his example that he had with his awfully this is what websites used to look at like a lot in the 90s, guys, is you would have these very, very harsh colors. It's nothing quite like what you guys experience today. Now you guys experience a lot more refined websites. Okay. Background colors. In this exercise, we will use the style attribute to add a background color to every tag on the page. Every single tag on the page. Page, on the page, on the page. Okay, let's do it. Add a background tag to everything, or a style. Okay, the H1 tag should have a color of salmon. Okay, so style. And I can't remember how the style attribute looked. Okay, style equals what was it? Background color. So there's a list of these properties that you can do. And that's another thing, is you have to know what you're trying to change, right? Like you have to kind of have an idea of what it is that you want to do with these style tags. So this is the background color. And that is going to be, in our assignment, we have salmon. Okay, and then let's go ahead and run that and make sure that is good to go. There we go. Background color is salmon. but it specifically wants that to be the H1 tag. So I have it in the body tag. It doesn't need to be in the body. I can just get rid of the whole line right there. Let's try and run that again. Okay, cool. So my H1, that should be salmon. The U1 tag should be Misty Rose. We're going to have the OL tag be Orchid. And each LI tag should have lemon chiffon. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and do this as lemon chiffon. Again, very interesting names here. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that. Ooh, and there's a mistake in here, guys. Look at that right there. Okay, that'll be fine. Okay, okay. Okay, let's see how this looks. That looks pretty much exactly like what it was talking about, right? Now, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the way that we do this, but let's check the code. Okay. Okay, to-do list. Use the style attribute to add some style to my to-do list from earlier. Copy over your HTML. Ooh. Uh-oh, guys. The to-do list exercise was probably in our lists. Yep, it was back here in our lists. Okay, well, this is a good stopping point, right, for us to go back and actually do 4.6. So if you've already done 4.6, you can go ahead and skip ahead, or you can, tune out for a little bit, and then we'll be back here in a second. So I'm going to go watch the video for lists and do that, and then come back to this one.
Hi. In this video, we'll be learning about HTML lists. Now, we see lists a lot on web pages. And in fact, here's a list of reasons we should be using lists. Lists make it very easy to organize information, they have a very simple structure, and they're very easy to read and write. We can also use numbers or letters to arrange things in order from most important to least important. And lists can be about anything. And we see them all the time. We see them all over the internet. We see articles like 6 quotes from author Umberto Eco on why people love lists. We have the 33 most important lists ever written. And there's actually a Wikipedia article called Lists of Lists of Lists. And this article holds list articles that themselves are lists of articles that are also lists. So clearly lists show up a lot on web pages. And today we'll be learning about how to make our own lists. So there's 2 types of lists in HTML. We have the unordered list and the ordered list. In an unordered list, there is no specific order to the items. They're just bullet points. With an ordered list, there is order. We have a first item, a second item, a third item, and these are usually denoted by numbers or letters. So first we'll be learning about how to make unordered lists. So to make an unordered list, we have to introduce the UL tag. So the UL tag defines an unordered list. And there's one more tag we're going to need, and that is the LI tag, and that stands for list item. So using the UL tag and the LI tag, we can make unordered lists. So here's an example of how we can build an unordered list. just like with most of our HTML tags, the open UL tag and the closed UL tag, and the content of the list is tag. And the result looks like this. We have an unordered list. Li simply defines a list item. It doesn't care inside of lists, and this is called nesting lists. Result here, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of bullet points. But maybe I want to get even more specific about what kind of chocolate chips I'm buying. So for that, I can put an ordered list inside, like for a nested list. Well, if we start off with just a standard, so underneath cookies, I'm going to have chocolate chip and peanut butter. Notice that section of the blocks, and here we have all the tags we learned about lists to our web pages. Now it's your turn.
I've had my audio off for a long time. Yay. Okay, well, anyway, guys, um, I mean, that's probably a good, what, the entire time that I was doing that? Okay, cool. Well, I guess that I am only human. Yay. Okay. Well, here we go. So now that we are back on, so the thing that we just completed, you saw, uh, let's just go back and look at it. So for this to-do list, I mean, you saw me coding, but it's not very helpful when that happens. Okay, so we made our to-do list. We completed the other portion. We completed the lists portion, and then we came here to do this part. And so all of these tags, I was struggling with the fact that I needed to change the color tag, not the background color tag. And then I finally overcame that. We got our style badge, and then now we're moving on to CSS, or cascading style sheets. Cool.
Hi. In this video, we'll be going through an introduction to CSS. Now you may be wondering, what is CSS? Well, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And the important thing to note here is the style. So CSS is a brand new language separate from HTML, and it is the language for designing web pages. CSS is the language we can use to add style to our web pages. Now you may be wondering, haven't we been styling our web pages? We've been changing the colors, we've been changing the font size, we've been doing all this crazy stuff to our web pages. And that's true, but the problem is HTML was really never intended to style web pages. HTML is a great language for defining the structure and the content of a web page, but it gets really messy when we try to add all this style to our web pages. So the people who first developed HTML, all they wanted to do was be able to send articles and essays to each other and have these articles be able to link together. And HTML is great for that. We can make these web pages that have a lot of information and that link to each other. But then as computers got farther along and the internet became very popular and browsers started being able to render all these different colors and styles, style ended up becoming a huge part of web pages. And HTML just wasn't designed to be able to handle this new styling. And it tried. It came up with these formatting tags, it added the style attribute so we could add color, but the problem is typing style equals quote and then adding all these style properties is just very tedious and messy. And when we get to the point where we have these huge websites with millions of HTML tags, it's just not practical to write style equals blah 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 on every single HTML tag. It's not scalable. It's not going to work when we have millions of tags to work with. So, in comes CSS. CSS was a new language that was developed to define the style of a web page. And this is great because we're separating the content of a web page written in HTML from the style of the web page. That is written in CSS. And that means we can play around with these different parts of the web page separately. We can modify the content in our HTML, and we can modify the actual look and feel of the website using CSS. So at a high level, let's say we have our HTML file, and this defines the structure and content of the web page. And the resulting web page is just a very standard document that shows the information defined by the HTML. We can put on top of that this brand new code, CSS, and that's going to give the website its nice look and feel. It's going to add style. And simply modifying the CSS will change the look and feel of the website. We can actually swap out this CSS code for brand new code, and we get a completely different website design. So this is great. We're separating out the content from the style. The people making the content on the web pages don't really have to worry about what the look and feel is going to be, and the people designing the web pages, setting the style, don't really have to worry about what the content is going to be. Content and style are different enough to warrant having different languages to describe them. So how can we use CSS? Well, CSS is great for designing our web pages, for adding things like colors, fonts, spacing, alignment, size, and even more. And what's great is that by developing the CSS code, we can standardize the style across an entire website. So a lot of times websites have multiple HTML pages. You're not spending your entire time on one page. And so rather than having to go to each of these HTML files and adding the style to every single little tag, we just write CSS once and it can apply to the entire website. And that way, Facebook looks the same on every single page and CodeHS looks the same on every single page. We can define that once and use it everywhere. This is a much more scalable system than writing style equals in every single HTML tag. So what exactly does CSS look like? Well, writing CSS code involves defining CSS rules. So this whole thing is a CSS rule. And let's break this down a little bit to see the parts of a CSS rule. So the first part of the CSS rule is the CSS selector. And the selector defines exactly which HTML elements this rule is going to apply to. So this is saying this will apply to all H1s on the page. After the CSS selector, we have curly braces. And inside the curly braces, we have one or more CSS declarations. And these declarations are what actually define the style for this selector. And it's just like what we wrote inside the style attribute. We have the property and the value. The property says which feature we are styling, and the value says how we are styling that feature. So for example, we want to give the color red or the font size 60. And so when we make a CSS rule, we're really telling the browser exactly how the website should look and feel. So this rule says, hey, browser, when you go to render this web page, make sure that you give all H1 tags a font size of 60 pixels and a color of red. And we can easily change this right here in this rule. Let's change that to a 70. And now the browser will completely change the website. Every H1 tag will have a font size of 70 pixels instead of 60. So the general format for a CSS rule is the selector, curly braces, and then a series of property, value, semicolon, property, value, semicolon, as many declarations as you want to define the style for that selector. So what are the CSS properties that we can style? Well, just like with the style attribute, we can set the color, and this will specify the text color for all of the text in the selected HTML element. We can define the background color, which will set the background color for the selected HTML element. For example, we could say color is red, background color is blue. And we can play around with the font. We can set the font size, for example, 30 pixels or 14 pixels. We can set the font family, and this will set the font family for all of the text in the selected tag. We can choose things like Arial, Times, Comic Sans, these kinds of things that set the font of the text. There's font style, and there's only two options here, italic or normal. So the italic makes the text really emphasized and slanted. And we can set the font weight, and this will set how thick the font is. And possible values for font weight include normal, bold, bolder, or we can give it an actual number between 100 and 900. So we see that using these CSS properties, we don't really need to use the I tag for italic or the B tag for bold anymore. We can do all of our styling in CSS and leave the HTML very simple. Just HTML's only content, doesn't deal with style at all. So how can we add the CSS to our code? Well, there's a special tag in HTML called the style tag. And all we have to do is make an opening style tag and a closing style tag and put all of our CSS rules inside the style tag. Now the question is, where exactly should this style tag go within the HTML document? Can you guess? Try writing down where you think the style tag should go in the HTML document.
Okay, I'm not going to do that, but let's see.
Now it turns out the style tag goes in the head of the HTML document.
Cool.
The idea here is that the style is separate from the content, so it is metadata. It is about the content.
Ooh.
Inside the body, we have the actual meat of the page. We have the content of the HTML page. And in the head, we have the metadata. So since the style is not really content, it's describing the content, the style belongs in the head tag. So that is a high-level overview of CSS, and we're going to get a lot of practice with this. So for now, let's see this in the editor. So to see what we can do with CSS, we have a simple web page. All it has is an
Okay, he's going to go through this in the editor. I am going to go to
H1, a header that says welcome to CodeHS.
Oh no.
And that's what it looks like. It's the standard deep CSS to style our web pages.
Okay.
Now it's your turn to give it a try.
Okay, why do we use CSS? Easily modifies the look and feel, separates the content from the design, wasn't intended to style web pages. Yep. Valid CSS, H1, color, blue. Nope, it's going to be this one. The color is blue. I like this because it's less verbose, or there's less syntax. That's really nice. That's our little quiz. Explore this example. Okay, so we have our H1 tag, so that'll influence all H1 tags in this thing. So if I added another H1 tag, right? I hope you enjoy your stay. So what's nice is that if I add another line here, see, it immediately is given all of the same styles as the previous header. So that's really nice because then I don't have to repeat code as much. Modify the CSS style of this page so that the H1 tags are blue. Well, we just saw that, right? So instead of being red, they will be blue. This is a little bit too easy, my friends. Okay, so let's submit and continue. Oh, see, there we go. Now it's blue. Okay. Oh, now here we go. Okay, so we want to take the unordered grocery list. It has a background of light pink. Nested ordered list of cookie types has a background color of medium purple. Every single tag, okay. Okay, so they already have the style tags up here, right? So that's some metadata. Remember what he said, it was metadata, meaning it's information about the information on the page. So metadata is data about your data, right? So all this down here is your actual data. Everything up here would be called metadata. Okay, so we want to change okay. So what are we changing? We just have to change this to be 30. Is that it? Okay. Again, we're just changing one or two things here. But I guess that this is the introduction. So we have CSS. So we have another 3 lessons over CSS. So this is really just an introductory. So let me just go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and submit. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish up that last part of HTML lesson 6. Okay, so we're done with 9. So that was everything that we needed to do for today. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish that list of articles. Okay, and our assignment is make a list article. Okay. So body, and then we're going to create our H1 tag here. Oh gosh. Okay, so top 10, top 5 to buy electric vehicles. Okay, so this is going to be a ordered list with 5 items in it. So li, and then we're just going to go ahead and copy that. Okay. Maintenance, noise, And okay. So these are the top five reasons to buy an electric vehicle. Okay, and then each one will have a nested bullet point. So that'll be an unordered list. Oh, that looks so gross. Oh, that's so gross. Okay, there we go. And then preferably that's going to be there. Okay. Okay, and then we have one more unordered list and one more unordered list. All right, and under this one, there will be this list item. And under this one, there was this list item. So you get instant torque. You have a simple drivetrain. You have okay, and those are the two main things there. Maintenance, we'll change this to safety right here. That fifth list item will be safety. Maintenance, no oil changes. And fewer moving ports. Safety, they are, oh, darn it. Oops. Okay, that's probably going to cause an issue. Okay, very stable, heavy battery pack. No engine compartment or more space for crumple zones. Okay, pollution. We can say that there are no emissions. And then fuel cost. No gas pump needed. Okay, let's see if it'll let me get away with this. Let's check the code. All right, that's fine. I'm going to submit continue because I'm happy enough with that. Okay, so that was just me going back and finishing that that last exercise that had eluded me. I'm just checking to make sure that I have all my exercises done. I just did my last one in lists. It looks like it still wants me to. Okay, I've done all those. I've done all those. Okay, so we're done for the night, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. Tomorrow I'm planning on doing tutorials, so on Friday I'm planning on doing tutorials from around 4 to 6. So I'll be logging into Google Classroom and Google Meet, and I'll set up a meeting, and if you want, you can come. I'm setting that up because a student asked for it. My previous tutorials times have kind of had to change. So I've been deployed to the border. Sorry, not to the border. I've been deployed to Houston to help with the food banks. So I'm not able to conduct office hours during my normal times. But I will be able to have them every once in a while. Just keep an eye out for them. Email me if you need some additional one-on-one help. I hope that this was useful for you guys, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.